Domination.
I rarely get excited for things, but I'm excited because once again, I can do this. Now, I know that may not be the prettiest thing in the world to you, but to me, that's beautiful. Most of you guys know that I played basketball pretty much my entire life. It's what I did every single day. If I wasn't playing basketball, I was thinking about basketball, I was watching basketball. And then I tore my ACL and my MCL. Those of you who watched the last San Francisco game, and you saw Bowman, what happened to his knee, that's pretty much what happened to me, although I think his dislocated and mine actually went back into place. But yeah, it was pretty devastating. My surgeon told me it'd be about 15 months for me, and I just said forget it. I was in a job making a lot of money. I figured I'll never play basketball again, so I didn't rehab properly, put on a ton of weight, and turned into that typical married fat guy. And never really thought about basketball again. I mean, I thought about it, but when I did, I got disappointed or whatever, so I stopped talking about it. If you haven't noticed already, I am absolutely getting my ass handed to me in this game. I mean, these guys they just don't want to move. They got a pretty decent little spawn trap. Half of them are tubing, half of them are just sitting there ADSing. It was not going well. My boomstick was being tamed, to say the least. But anyway, just recently, I'd say about the last few months, I've really just started thinking to myself that basketball was one of the things that brought me joy, and I really want to get back to at least being able to go and play some pickup games at the park. That would be nice. So I've been losing some weight. I was about 315, now I'm down to about 290. I'm 6'6", so I'd like to get around maybe 270. That's a little heavier than I was, but I got more muscle now than I did. And I think right here, I think it was like, what, 2, 3, and 9, something like that. That is not going well. But if I can get back down to that playing weight and get my knee strengthened up, I would just love to play basketball again. So as gumpy as that little clip was, it'll get better. But anyway, I decided to throw in some Modern Warfare 2, which can be a pretty devastating decision sometimes. Modern Warfare 2, when this game was released, I mean, I was still a pretty big noob, but it was so much fun. And then everybody kind of started to catch on to the exploits. Infinity Ward fell apart. There was no post-game support, and the game just kind of fell apart. Well, then Black Ops 1 came out, and everybody kind of moved away from Black Ops 1, and I think those were the glory days. They moved towards Black Ops 1, and I think those were the glory days of Modern Warfare 2. All the dorks moved on to Black Ops 1, and it left a pretty, look at that shoot off. It left a pretty decent sized community still left on Modern Warfare 2, especially with all the connection issues that Black Ops 1 had. And I'll tell you, man, I think those were the glory days of Modern Warfare 2. People didn't really catch on to how powerful stealth perks were back then, as far as like cold-blooded. And the only people that really tubed, it was just like a couple. Now, if you play Modern Warfare 2, I would say if you play Ground War out of 18 people, there's a good chance that half of the players are running one-man army danger close and just hucking tubes from a corner somewhere in the map. But I mean, back then, during the glory days, I mean, the connections were still amazing. I don't think we've had hit detection like Modern Warfare 2 since. I think Infinity Ward took that special secret with them, and I'm hoping they bring it to Titanfall. And like I said, not that many people use cold-blooded. Most people rushed around. And I think those were just the absolute glory days of Modern Warfare 2. Probably the most fun I've had in Call of Duty to date. And I definitely miss it. I miss the glory days of Modern Warfare 2. But, you know, sometimes you got to move on. But sometimes you go back and you play and you have a little flash of it. It's nice to come back. I'll tell you this, though. Now that there are a bunch of dorks on this game, it's nice to go back and kick their ass with a boomstick when they're just chucking danger close tubes everywhere. That feels pretty good. So what I wanted to ask was, what would you call your glory days of Call of Duty. It doesn't have to be Modern Warfare 2. You know, maybe your favorite Call of Duty was Black Ops 1. You know, maybe it was a different one. It doesn't really matter. Just let me know when your glory days of Call of Duty, when you had the absolute most fun playing this game. We all know that the series has kind of struggled ever since Infinity Ward kind of fell apart, and they've had to pull in other developers alongside Treyarch to develop their games. It seems to have turned into a pretty big money grab. But for those of us that have had glory days in Call of Duty, you know, maybe your glory days are right now. You know, maybe you're a newer player and you like Ghosts. I've said it before, I love Ghosts, but let me know when your glory days were. Just the absolute most fun of a time period that you've had on Call of Duty. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Later.
Yeah, good job, Patriot. These kids were fucking stupid. I told them you were in C the whole time.